Good day, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Ayo Badibor, and I'm a member of the project team Race. The goal of the project team Race is to address critical issues affecting Nigeria and Africa as a whole. First of all, we would like to answer the question of unemployment. Is it possible to, through a means of generating power, also generate a means of employing a large number of Nigerian people in a resource to factory scenario? The problem of poor electricity supply. Can we say that sub Saharan Africa is completely plagued by these problems, held ransom in a nation, in a continent bountifully blessed with renewable energy resources? The question we at Project Team Race would like to answer is quite simple. Can we provide a means of employment, a way of reducing hunger, a means of generating excitement among the African people to bring light and power, to improve security from a simple idea? And that is the idea of the race solar panel. Is this possible? Can we solve these problems, beating up sub Saharan Africa and Africa as a continent, with an idea that will go from resource to production, all within entirely in the African continent? But before we go ahead, I would like to answer the question of what solar energy truly is. Solar energy is something that is gradually taking over the gross product measurements across the world, and with this, the African continent now has a way into the major league of electricity production across the world. We have renewable energy resources in a world bounded by pollution, in a world where the nook and cranny, the discussion at the highest levels of power is how do we move from non-renewable energy sources that have been so easy to extract and use, not understanding the consequences over the years, to renewable energy resources in order to escape the seemingly inevitable future of a world burning up in pollution and the human race drowning itself in all its needs. We have the solutions right here in Africa. Africa is located on the equator belt, meaning we have so much sun, so much available bounty of electromagnetic energy being flushed on this planet. If the question of renewable energy resources, of moving from non-renewable to renewable energy resources, is ever going to be solved, it will be done right here on the African continent. The race project business concept is quite straightforward, and I would like to piece it together one by one as I answer the question of renewable energy, our business ideology, and how we are bringing these things together to solve problems here in the African continent. The race team will be assembling solar panels right here on the African continent. We're boiling this down into a into a process that will so easily divide labor in such a way that production will expand, growing employment as it does in the process. This is our idea of the race team, to grow Africa, to provide a process of production that is employment conscious, so that we begin to have the idea of technology inclusion in this new decade right here in Africa, led of course by the project team. The project team race will not be stopping there. We will be looking at how we can create an academic streamline in the process of producing these solar panels, meaning that apart from the production that will involve the putting together, the cleaning chemicals and the rest of it to ensure we have a finished product that can generate electricity right from the sun, we will be bringing in the academic perspective, having a kind of school/work scenario where people are educated on the scientific principles applied in the production of this solar panel, because we want to ground and we want to create a foundation, a strong foundation for the African people, for the African youth to understand knowledge driven production processes. This is what the race team is all about. We at the race team plan to start with our prototype solar panel, a small piece of technology completely homegrown that will be able to generate a little amount of electricity to charge your phones within your locality and be as affordable as we can make it. This is part of the dreams of the project team race. If we can achieve this, the prototype will become an economic driving force for the rest of the future. And Africa as a whole will begin to see the possibilities that could come out of the race team's impact on employment and technology-driven economic growth right here in Africa, to take Africa out of the darkness to produce light and to take Africa to where we're supposed to go, to do the wonders of technology, to give us the glorious future we have escaped over the years. It's time the race team is beginning to fulfill the SDG goals, the goals of inclusion, the goals of reducing hunger, because with electricity so much can be done. As we grow this solar panel into something that can produce electricity that will be useful at different levels for different people in different places, we begin to see a future, a prophetic ideology of being able to reduce hunger, because the facilities that are supposed to preserve and grind and produce and distribute food are driven by zero cost electricity. We begin to see the reduction a reduction in the lack of health care, because the facilities that are needed to provide people with in-time operations, with in-time drugs, with in-time vaccines are being driven by zero cost electricity. These things will come together to ensure that Africa is able to fulfill the SDG goals that have been set for it over the last few decades. Now, how is the race team's solar panel different? How is our own solution different from the rest of the solution in the marketplace? There is a reason why the solar panel technology has not caught up fast in Africa. Then this is the point. The cost and the target market of the solar panel is not the average Nigerian. The average Nigerian still depends on the I pass my neighbor small size generator, or he has to wait for the continuously broken cycles of electricity, hoping desperately that this production and supply get to him in the nook and cranny of a small place and corner in the ghettos of Africa as we have it at large. So here comes the difference. The race team solar panel is different. The solar panels in the market are not targeted at the average Nigerian. They are not produced locally, meaning that the technological process is not engendered into our people. We are looking at creating a possibility of stimulating technology in such a way that micro industries, real micro commercial scientific industry, begin to make production. One person can sit in his house and say, I want to create the copper filings alone. And is there someone to sell it to? Someone buys the copper filings and says, I want to do the dielectric taping alone. He has someone to sell it to. Someone buys the dielectric tape copper filings, and then is able to say, I want to embed this with an electron acceptor and a donor and create a final product for electricity. This is what the race team wants to engender. We want to engender a production process that is so deeply entrenched into the African economy and can give us the continuity of purpose that will settle us as Africans on the long run. Because if the technology is homegrown and an average Nigerian can go out there, sit in his room and have a thought of producing a part of the solar panel process, of the project team raise solar panels process, then that is a vision we want as Nigerians, because it's when technology becomes a part of the people that technology is able to grow, is able to be distributed, and is able to go around. This is the beauty of the race team's solar panel technology. About our business concept, the race team understands one thing. In order to ensure that this ideology spreads round and reaches the entirety of majority of the Nigerian geographical location, we have a plan. At the race team, we know the value of a voice. The louder and stronger a voice is, the more it reaches across the world and the more people that will be interested in being a part of the movement. A loud voice gets attention. At the race team, we're going to be using the existing information flow structure, the local governments that can reach people who do not have phones, to let them see this means of electricity. We're going to be using the youths on the street to distribute and spread these solar panels. We're going to be employing people for production and people for distribution, and these people can work together to ensure that these solar panels reach the very micro places, the tiny places, the dark places in Africa where we can go in there and then we at the race team can turn on the light. This is what we're after. This is our goal. We set out to achieve it. The race team will be spreading the news across mass media and as radio, street demonstrations, marketing announcements. We will be going to churches, religious bodies, mosques, shrines, as many places as possible to spread the news of turning on the light in the African continent across board. This is the goal of the race team. One of the major reasons why we know at the race team that the SDG goals are linked to our own ideas is because, one, we want to ensure that the solar panel increases technology in Africa, meaning it will be produced locally. The resources will be sourced locally. Every single part of what is needed to develop this solar panel and make it rich and right for the African people will be sourced and developed locally. We will have bulbs, light bulbs, to light up the streets, to light up every corner within the African country. This is going to bring forth the development goals that the entire world has in mind for the African continent as a whole. One of the major, should I say, unexploited parts, or should I, strengths of Africa as a whole is the availability of a large mass of labor. There's so many people out there with the strength and the ability and little technical know-how to be able to do little parts of complex tasks that can lead to a finally highly active, technologically stable society. This is possible with the idea that the race team has put together within this project. And then one of the major ideologies is the spread. Once we have the spread of electricity, a charging port for every phone, people will have access to news and information and growth. And we can have a one laboratory economy where scientific expertise at one end of the country spreads instantly to the other end because we have electricity, because we are involved in the technological process, and someone out there, an average African boy, could go discover that we could actually use sugarcane as a better means of drying up the solar panels instead of using the expensive copper sulfates that we are used to production. This is the growth that we want to engineer. The major infrastructural advancements, the major infrastructural growth that we will be having right here on the African continent in time to come, the largest infrastructure is going to be the advent the power that will be put together by the infrastructure of availability of electricity. That infrastructure is going to grow because everyone is going to own a piece of it. It wouldn't be a government owned infrastructure that people have to line up to use. It will be available everywhere. The strength would boom as people come together to produce power, to use power, and to have knowledge available to them at their grasp. In this post-COVID era, this would be the most useful and powerful infrastructural tool to ever hit the market. Our solar panel design and build is quite simple. It starts with a plain copper panel, clean copper plates, lined up with electron pathways. These electron pathways are insulated from the copper plates using an alcohol-based marker, and it's marked into a surface area exploiting pattern that is able to cover a large surface area, creating two electron parts with a conductivity trap between them. Now, once the marker is lined up, the system is adhered with a soldering lead, and this lead is used to attach firmly the marker lines to the copper plate. This gives us the dielectric electron trap that we need, that is able to respond to optic sensitivity. And once that is done, we employ the use of a Lewis acid to create an electron collector system that is able to collect electrons, relay the directions, and result in pathways, a receptive pathway, a drive and go that will create the electron trap that will result in current generation. Once that is done, the solar panel is exposed to optical sensation, which is electromagnetic waves light, and then this stimulates the flow of electrons within this copper plate. The Lewis acid is used to adhere the system together. We will be employing silicon glues to ensure that the system stays in a stick and that the conduction pathways remain as clean as possible and adhere to the surface of the copper throughout the lifetime of this solar panel use. Over the years, we'll be looking at not using copper plates alone, but using conductive surfaces that will be able to generate more electricity and within lower surface areas. And we'll also be looking at microscopic markings of the panel surfaces to ensure that we get more electrons trapped in the system and a larger flow of electricity on the long run. This is the goal. This is the design, the simple design of the Project Team Race solar panel. The Project Team Race is aware of the Sustainable Development Goals. Number one, zero hunger, access to quality education, access to infrastructure, a stable standard of living within and the Project Team Race is aware of these things. We know very well that once a phone is turned on, in this post-COVID era, the availability of data is very important. It's becoming major infrastructure because having data of where to go in the face of an outbreak, having data of the locations that have been bombarded, where tests have proven that we have a large case of similarly symptomatic COVID-19 occurrences is quite crucial to the survival of the human race. And as a result, the availability of data, which is impossible without the availability of electricity in the first place, has become a major infrastructural drive to the African economy. And this is the question that we at the Project Team Race would like to answer. My name is Ayo Gbadebo. I'm a member of the Project Team Race, and this is our solution to the problems within sub-Saharan Africa and the sustainability, the fulfillment of the sustainable development goals that we want to see fulfilled in our continent and in our country. Thank you very much once again. I'm a member of the Project Team Race. You are with us all the way. We're going to do this. Thank you.